And now, broadcasting from deep behind enemy lines in the occupied territory of the Socialist Republic of California, your host, former California State Assemblyman and Governor candidate, Tim Donnelly.
It keeps getting worse and worse and worse for the campaign of Hillary Clinton. Now you've got liberals like CNN's Monica Crowley asking in her op-ed in the Washington Times, why is Obama trying to torpedo Hillary Clinton? Is this part of a vast left-wing conspiracy? Now, for those of you who are thinking of voting for Jeb Bush or Hillary Clinton, let me explain the genesis of the vast right-wing conspiracy. See, that was the excuse, that was the explanation that then First Lady Hillary Clinton gave when defending her husband from attack after attack after attack, not just on the sex scandal, but on his policy and on the corruption within the White House of selling off favors, which now we know the Clintons just thought that was business as usual. Remember, they sold out the Lincoln bedroom and practically the whole West Wing to whoever the highest donor was. And Hillary got a lot of traction out of that. By calling it a vast right-wing conspiracy, she was able to fend off her critics pretty well because the media picked up that narrative and ran with it. But what do you do when it's a vast left-wing conspiracy and the New York Times is part of it? Because the venerable New York Times cannot be questioned. So when Hillary attacks the New York Times, she looks foolish to those on the left, and they frown in incredulity. But Monica Crowley asked some pretty good questions. She's deeply concerned. And this is how she opens her op-ed. Mrs. Clinton is careening toward possible criminal charges involving her alleged mishandling of classified material on her personal email server while she was Secretary of State. And President Obama is driving the bus. She and her team have, of course, reverted to form, blaming everyone but themselves. A right-wing conspiracy, quote unquote. The New York Times, overzealous investigators. What they are missing, however, is the one figure who wants her taken out politically and who has the power to do it. And of course, that's none other than Barack Obama. She and Mr. Obama now have a long history as frenemies. And let me tell you something. You can have friends and you can have enemies. But the worst thing in the world is frenemies. You want to have one or the other. Recall Mr. Obama's rejoinder at a 2008 debate when Mrs. Clinton touted her likability. You're likable enough. He said it like that, remember? Or recall Bill Clinton's famous put down of Mr. Obama. Well, a few years ago, this guy would have been getting us coffee. Beyond the bad blood, however, Mr. Obama has a more important reason for doing her in, as I have written previously, needs a successor he can control. Over the years, including recently, he's waxed rhapsodic over a possible third term to continue his fundamental transformation. I did not just do that. A fundamental transformation of our nation. I think that could be turned into a rap song.
Fundamental transformation of nation?
Of our nation. Mrs. Clinton, however, will not provide it. Therefore, she must be sidelined. I mean, this is crazy. We got a great show lined up. We're going to have our good friend, Morgan Brittany, who is also opining on the fate of Hillary. And she, of course, has her own unique take, and we will have an article up from her at timdonnellyshow.com. But it's just fascinating to see how fast and how far they fall. Meanwhile, in Texas, you thought I was going to say meanwhile in California, Donald Trump, I almost called him Donald Troll.
You did call him Donald Troll. Do we need to start over?
No.
Do we need to go back to 306?
There will be no starting over. I just need to practice my alliteration on the break. Donald Trump, not Troll, tops Cruz in his own state of Texas. And that is going to be, I think Ted Cruz is definitely on the upswing, as well as Donald Trump. And you cannot count that guy out. But it is fascinating to see that the Donald is popular in so many places. I mean, he's really popular here in California. And it's not just with conservatives. We've had people call in from across the board. And I'm sure, you hanging out at the gym, you probably run into people who talk to you about Trump. And you when you're riding the train or the bus or whatever public transportation you're taking when the POS that you drive breaks down.
Hey, it just got a new alternator and a new battery, but I'm not taking it outside 150 miles in case I need to get towed.
A new alternator and a new, those are bad signs.
I know, but I'm holding strong. I have faith.
It's like a horse that needs to be released from this earth, but you refuse.
And it has new tires.
Well, does the radio work?
Oh, the radio is the best part of it. It has bass and everything.
What about the air? Any air conditioning?
Oh, yeah, the air conditioning's on fleek.
Okay.
I don't know if you know what that word means.
No.
Oh, it means it's outstanding.
So it's like really cold.
It's super cold.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, on a day like today, that would be very useful.
I just need the engine to work a few more miles and we're good to go.
Yeah, that's a really important part of the car.
Yeah, everything else is fine.
Yeah, but the brakes, I would argue the brakes are more important. It's one thing to get going, it's another thing to stop.
Yeah. They're replaced. They're new.
Yeah, so in other news, there's a Democrat congressman who said this issue with the classified material, and by the way, Hillary Clinton admitted that there's classified material on her server. She's actually now admitted that.
Wait, as of yesterday? Since yesterday?
Since yesterday.
What?
This is breaking news.
Wait, remember when they were claiming that the classifications were too strict?
Nope. Now they're owning up to it. See, what happens though, when you at first lie and then start to peel back the layers, the story never ends.
Well, yeah, because one lie is another lie, and they have to keep figuring it out.
Look, in defense of my wife, I just want to say it depends on what the meaning of the word lie is. Because I've defined it and I've created a whole new category of lying.
Does she know that you come here to see me all the time?
All right, Bethany, let's just keep that quiet. Come on. We had a deal.
We had a deal?
I'm not going to talk about that on air. I'm going to, for once, show a little bit of reserve. I don't even know what to do with that guy. Drops in all the time, but I'll tell you what. We're going to take a quick break. 323-746-TALK if you want to weigh in. Defending the fundamental freedom of parents to make informed decisions for their own children is a basic human right that should never be infringed. But it was. California's SB 277 denies children access to education and takes away a parent's right to choose. You don't have to be a parent to help, but only you can make a difference. Let's exercise the people's veto and overturn SB 277. To volunteer or donate, go to SB277referendum.com. SB277referendum.com. That's SB277referendum.com. Do it now. Paid for by SB277 Referendum Committee, FPPC ID number 1378398.
We need a hero, someone to show us the way. We need a hero who speaks for the people and what we
Well, right now,
have to say.
the only hero in the presidential election is Donald Trump. Hands down. He's the one setting the tone. Hillary right now, she's treading water. She's trying to stay out of jail. You know it's the truth.
I know. I was the one that had to add that to our quiz list, remember? To our poll.
Are you one of those people that perpetually needs credit?
On that, yes.
Okay.
I want credit.
All right. Well, we're going to see what Mike has to say. Mike from Wrightwood. I'm sure he'll take your side. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, you can always back up your vets, man.
I knew it. I
Yes.
knew it. Wow.
Yeah, gotta have their six at all times, man. But actually, I was just telling her my daughter was going to actually be signing up. She's going to go in the Army. It looks like maybe military intelligence. And grandson, he's 5. I know that one day he's going to follow in footsteps. And there's always hope in this country if we raise our kids right, raise them to love this country and know what it stands for. And I made it very clear to her that what it means to go in, the sacrifice that it could be, and she's all excited. Can't wait to swear in on the 1st, and it's kind of great.
Congratulations! So she's a young patriot. What is her age? How old is she?
She's 22, Sarah Bradley, and she's going to hopefully get into intel. She's pretty smart, so can try and make her a CIA agent or get her somewhere in that kind of area. And that my grandson will be with me for a couple of months, and I mean he's already decked out in Army stuff with all my other grandkids, but it's going to be great. My family's going to always be raised that way no matter how they go, and from generation to generation, we'll always, be into this country and always see the hope and know that there's always going to be a better look around the corner so you never give up. But, I do have a problem with, one thing about Hillary that I think the reason why they're really hitting on her right now is she's going to get away with this stuff. I mean, they're going to find some ways. They're going to pull Bill Clinton on, what is a loan. They're going to figure out a way that she just somehow maybe didn't know and, washed it under the table. And, the last time, like when Hannity and everybody went after Hillary and got rid of her, what did we get? We got Barack Obama, and maybe it's a good thing that Hillary does run, so whoever runs against her has so much ammo that there's no possible way that we can see another Democrat destroy this country. And we just let her, stick her neck out there and show her who she is. But I told my wife though it's awful weird. They're hitting her real early. They're going after her real hard, and we know that a lot of people in the government are behind the Clintons. They have a lot of ties. They have a lot of people that owe them, or a lot of people that are afraid of them. And somehow or another, I just see her playing Houdini, getting out of this and being a victim, and still running for president and trying to screw this country up even more than they've already done it.
Well, Mike, it's hard. It's you got an interesting theory there. Certainly, I mean, Monica Crowley believes that Barack Obama's behind the attack on her in order to take her out. There's some real bad blood between them.
Yeah, and I kind of cracked me up when they said something about Biden running, and it's like, Biden's the only one that Obama could really want to have to be president because there's no way he can blast his own administration because then it would make him look bad.
Yeah.
But everybody else is going to have an excuse. And since Obama broke the unwritten rule of not talking about, the president before him, hopefully, the next president, if it's going to be somebody like Trump, Trump's going to slam the living daylights out of what Obama's done. So he'll follow in his footsteps, and Obama opened the door he shouldn't have. But unless Biden can somehow squeak in there, which would be unbelievable with some of the dumb things he's done in life, we should be looking at a Republican that's going to bring back a really strong country. It's going to make people respect us again. We're going to get rid of this Iran stupidity, and show the rest of the world that, we're not going to allow people to just walk all over everybody and take control again, be the nation that we're supposed to be.
You speak the truth, Mike, and congratulations on your daughter. and on her service, and she'll be in our hearts and prayers. Thanks for the call. We're going to take another call from... Hey, welcome to the show.
Hello.
You are live on air.
Hi. My name is Colin. I live in High Desert also. I just heard the caller from Wrightwood. I just want to call and say, I believe that the majority of Americans now, I'm a young American, I'm in my 30s, that we don't really care about Republican versus Democrat. We just want somebody who's not so corrupt. Like for a while there, I feel like, I was honestly looking into changing countries.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I was looking.
Where were you looking at?
I was looking, anywhere. I was looking at Switzerland, Sweden. I mean, I'm proud, a proud American too. It's just I feel that the corruption was so much that we're worse than Mexico in terms of our governmental corruption.
Well, I would say it's running a real close second, maybe not quite as bad as they are, but I welcome your sentiment because I agree with you. I think the Republican and Democrat parties are in the middle of committing suicide because nobody believes in them anymore. They don't believe in what they claim that they believe in. There are no principles that they defend, and you don't really need a political party anymore. We have technology to connect each other and figure out what a candidate's platform is. So, who do you like in 2016?
Well, honestly, I didn't. In the last election, I didn't. That was the first time in my life I didn't vote. I got to the point where they all just seemed they were just. You want to choose the lesser of two evils is what we got down to. You know what I mean? And I don't agree with everything that Donald Trump says, but I'm kind of in his camp right now because I feel like he is hopefully going to be the less corrupt person that we can get up there and maybe make some changes. I mean,
so what are the issues?
I believe it's the same reason that Arnold Schwarzenegger, won the California vote. We just wanted something different.
So what resonates with you about Trump? Is it because he's outside of politics, he can't be bought? What is it?
Well, I listen to a lot of you guys' shows. I listen to Laura Ingraham. I listen to your show. It's just all the things. Not everything that you're saying. I guess what resonates the most is the fact that he can't be bought. But also, like he says, he's one of the very few people who says things the way they are, and he's not really afraid of. It seems that way anyway. He's not afraid of people putting him down for his opinions.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's amazing that he's afloat, isn't it? Because anybody else would have been sunk. They've been drowned by now.
Exactly, and like I said, I really compare it with the same reason that Arnold Schwarzenegger won here in California. I mean, we were just, as a people, we're just ready for somebody. We don't want the same status quo. We need something different. Like I said, and I was raised, from my grandfather's in the military. I'm a proud American. I love this country, but at the same time, I talked to my father about it too. So it's like, look, we need to get out of here. It's just not. This is not the same country it used to be. And and now hopefully, my dad kind of talked me off the ledge. But
well, Colin, I would encourage you to stay and stand your ground and fight and get involved because we need people who aren't bought, who aren't ideologues, who believe in the principles, the first principles in the founding of this country, which it was about defending, the government was supposed to defend and protect our natural rights, not infringe them, not try to save us from ourselves, and not control every aspect of our lives.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree there. My whole family, we're very big with the Second Amendment rights. I mean, we're very big with all American rights, and it's just it's been sad, the sad state of affairs lately, and I think a lot of my generation is just kind of checked out. You know what I mean? But now we're talking about it again. I don't know if it's just election time. In my circle of friends, we're talking about it on the back porch now. We're calling each other, and it's but there was a good span of 8 years there where we didn't really care.
Wow.
We just figured we can't fix it anyway.
Wow.
And it was sad.
Well, I'm going to give you one assignment.
Yes, sir.
Make sure that all of your friends are listening to the Tim Donnelly Show.
Well done. I could get that done, I believe.
All right. You do that. Thank you for listening. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, appreciate your time. Thanks.
You got it. That was Colin. It's interesting when you hear from someone younger, and because a lot of the political messages that work on older people aren't working on them. But for some reason, Donald Trump is coming through. And you know what I think it is? And I think he said it, and I might say it in different words. Donald Trump is who he is. He is authentic. You may not agree with him, but you're going to know where he stands, that's for sure. Well, we will be right back, so don't touch that dial. More of the Tim Donnelly Show when we return. If you've been listening long to the Tim Donnelly Show, you know that we talk constantly about defending freedom and about defending our natural inalienable rights. The Firearms Policy Coalition is a partner of the Tim Donnelly Show. But more than that, they're on the front lines every day in Sacramento and all across the state, in the courts, defending your Second Amendment right. That is a natural right that the government merely acknowledged in the Second Amendment. If you value your freedom, then you need to join Firearms Policy Coalition. Become a member. I'm a member, and I'm happy to support an organization that is doing such an incredible job. Go to joinfpc.org. The Tim Donnelly Show sent you. Or go to timdonnellyshow.com and click on the FPC link to make it easy. But whatever you do, join today. FPC.org.
I got some good friends that live down the street. Got a good-looking woman with her arms round me. Here in a small town where it feels like home. I got everything I need and nothing that I don't.
So Jerry Brown decides to weigh in, and of course he is considered a dark horse candidate for president. Yeah, I just said that. For president, Jerry Brown. So he can do to the country what he's done for California. He could share the California miracle of higher taxes and less freedom and fewer jobs. And did I say higher taxes? As a matter of fact, they're holding a special session to try to figure out, and this is just picture perfect, absolute political strategist or strategies to the extreme. This is leftist Alinsky politics. You spend all the money, otherwise known as acting like a teenager. You spend all the money on whatever. And then when it comes time to pay the rent, the car payment, the insurance, and the utilities like the electricity so you can have your TV and video games, the dog eats your homework. You're out of money. So you need to borrow money from mom and dad, right? Well, the way they're doing it in Sacramento is they spend all our money on entitlements. They spend all our money on ever-increasing pay and benefits for those in public sector unions and a massively growing government that never ends its burgeoning size increases over time. Yeah, we need to fix the roads. We forgot all about those. You know, those things you're driving on right now. So now we're going to raise your taxes to fix the roads. It's like when you pay really high utility rates and you think they're taking some of that money and doing capital improvements, right? Fixing the pipes, the basic things. It's their industry. It's their business. But they take the money. They go to Hawaii on a junket. They give incredible pay and benefits to their employees. I'm thinking of the Metropolitan Water District, the MWD in LA. And then all of a sudden they come back to the taxpayers and they say, we need some money to fix the pipes. Well, you've been robbing the ratepayers blind. What'd you do with all the money? And I think if I was in Sacramento right now, I'd be asking Jerry Brown the same question. I mean, under your administration, the last time you raised taxes, we found $53 million in a drawer in a desk in the Parks and Rec department. Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, you wouldn't have had to raise taxes as much, or you wouldn't have had the justification to raise taxes because you don't know where the money's going. There's waste and fraud and abuse in every single one of those departments of government, but you never did an audit because there's nothing in it for you. You can't continue to grow your power base unless you're willing to steal from those who have and give to those who don't. And I don't just mean give to those who don't have. I mean give to those who don't work. Give to those who don't. You take from those who do and give to those who don't. That's a recipe for an unsustainable economic system. In some places, they call that a banana republic, when you undermine all of the law and you have a handful of people with an incredible amount of power. Oh, yeah. That's like Mexico, the country that many people have fled here to come here for a better life. They came here because they thought we had rules and rule of law. Oh, wait, you told me you were reading something. It pertained to the rule of law and the border.
Yeah, so as of Wednesday night, if you are to walk into Mexico...
Which many people do.
Lots of people do.
To go drink, right? So they can park their cars over here and they go party? You military types?
No, military is not allowed anymore.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. When I was in San Diego, we had an executive order, or whatever they called it, saying that we were not allowed, military personnel were not allowed to go down to Mexico.
I take that back.
If they found out, we got in big trouble.
I take it back. All right.
So because of all the cartels and everything, and then obviously they would come after us. Yes. So as of now, about 25,000 pedestrians and 50,000 motorists cross daily at San Ysidro border crossing to either work, shop, or play. But as of now, as of Wednesday night, crossing into Mexico, you must show a passport.
You got to show your passport.
You have to show your passport. Mm-hmm. And are you ready for this?
There's more?
Oh, yes, there's more. So, according to Mexico's top immigration official in Baja California state, which includes TJ, he said, "This is about putting our house in order."
Wow. Now, aren't they charging a fee, too?
Okay, so yes, if they know that you're going to stay there for... If you're going to stay for more than a week, up to 6 months, you have to pay $20. It's about 322 pesos for a 6-month permit.
You can't make this stuff up.
No.
So if you want to come across and get let's look at the doors. Okay. If you come here, we give you free college tuition. We give you free medical care. They're working on that right now to give you full Obamacare, right?
Yeah.
You qualify for California-based food stamps and welfare programs. So we give you free money, free food, free medical care, free education, and then free college tuition.
Free life.
Yeah. You want to cross into Mexico, you got to show your papers, and you got to pony up $20.
Okay, and get this. They're saying it's for Mexico for 2 reasons. It's a step toward closing an escape route for American criminals who disappear in Mexico. They said more than 120 Americans were expelled from Mexico this year while living in Baja California, and most of them had arrest warrants in the U.S. Some of them that were ordered to leave were on the FBI's most wanted list.
You know what? I want to say something, and I wish you could push the mute button in time. But
yeah. So you're telling me that they're able to enforce it, but we can't?
Screw that. They got 120 criminals. We got 120,000 criminals that came in just last year. We probably have 120 murders that have occurred from illegals that were released just by Obama. At least 120.
But, okay, before we even get to that, though, so you're telling me that they're able to enforce their law now, but we can't do that? We're not doing anything about ours? Do you see how backwards this is?
Well, but they're reacting to Donald Trump.
Right.
Because if Donald Trump were to become president, Mexico would be forced to deal with its issues. They couldn't just ship their problems here. And I'm not saying everyone who comes here from Mexico is a problem. Don't get me wrong. If you come here the legal way, the right way, then and you go through the proper paperwork to become an American, hey, you are an American once you become a citizen. And before that, you are an immigrant. An immigrant shouldn't have the word legal in front of it. It should already be assumed that you are legally present because you have complied with the requests and the procedures out of respect for the country that you're hoping to call home. If you're an illegal, then you don't have any respect for anything. Why would you? Why would you respect a country that doesn't respect its own laws enough to enforce them? And you know what? I'm sorry, there's so many people running around that can't say it, but if we pull you over and it turns out you're illegally present, we should deport your ass. Why is that so hard to say?
Oh, let's try again. Deport your ass.
Yeah, that's the consequence. It's not like we're doing something mean to you. We're sending you home. Hello, and you're probably getting a free bus ticket and a ham sandwich and a Diet Coke. Well, I don't know if they give Diet Cokes because, they might freak out, think that there's some issue there. So they give you a real Coke. But you're going to get fed and you're going to get sent home. What's the big deal? I mean, what is the point of having laws if you don't enforce them? And why is it that it's politically correct to put a microscope up somebody's rear over the gun laws, make sure they don't have a single magazine that might accept too many rounds? Oh my goodness, Americans might be able to defend themselves when ISIS comes barreling across, or an illegal alien decides to execute a couple cops because he works for the cartels. He's not the nice lawn boy everybody thought he was. At that point, I really don't want to run out of bullets, and I really don't give a crap what you think about how many bullets are in my gun. And anybody who can't think for themselves to think like a free American is going to become a victim at some point. I should take a break before I get myself in too much trouble. 323-746-TALK is our number. We'll take your calls when we get back. Hey, if you like shooting as much as I do, you've probably been to a lot of ranges. Unless you visited Burro Canyon Shooting Park, you've never seen anything like it. On the way there, you'll find yourself taking pictures as you traverse the majestic Azusa Canyon and wind your way up into the Angeles National Forest. With over 600 acres, including 19 private ranges, there's something for everyone. There's rifle and pistol ranges for beginners, right up to advanced shooters. And there's plenty of spaces to shoot sporting clay. You can make a family day of it, or you can bring a group for team building exercises. Bring a picnic lunch. On the weekends, they provide lunch. And don't worry, they always have ammo in case you forget yours or run out. One thing I can guarantee is that once you visited my friends at Burro Canyon Shooting Park, you'll be hooked and you'll keep coming back. BurroCanyon.com is their website, or call them at 626-910-1344, 626-910-1344. You've heard me talk about Burro Canyon Shooting Park on this show many times. They've been a proud sponsor of the Tim Donnelly Show. And I want to let you know they've got a special offer. If you pay for a day of shooting at Burro Canyon Shooting Park and you mention the Tim Donnelly Show, you get a free hat or a coffee cup or both, as long as supplies last. So head on up to my favorite place to exercise our Second Amendment right, Burro Canyon Shooting Park. You know the Trumpinator is shaking up the border talk, but he's not the only one. We heard that presidential candidate Ben Carson went recently to survey the border, and I bet he won't be the last. I do have one warning, however, for presidential candidates. This is according to my friend, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who has said that when the candidates come and visit his tent city, they lose. So it's like a jinx. So they might not want to visit the tent city until after they become president. Just a little bit of advice. It's still hard for me to believe that Mexico is now getting tough on Americans coming to spend money and help their economy. Isn't that what they always say?
Well, we do. I mean, even my friends now, they go to Mexico for the weekend. You know, they'll go down there, go to Mexico for the day and go buy tacos and go shopping and go to Rosarito. And I mean, I'm guilty. I've done it 2 or 3 times. You know, but it's turning into way more than that.
Interesting. Well, meanwhile, back here in California, Governor Jerry Brown was asked what he thought of presidential frontrunner Republican Donald Trump, and he said, "Oh my God." But as the Bay Area political reporter Josh Richmond noted, Brown then went on to praise Trump for his bold tactics, particularly in the Fox News GOP debate. "I did think that when he raised his hand and said I might run as an independent, I think there are very few politicians that would do that," Brown said. Meanwhile, Jerry Brown has a transportation crisis to deal with as he tries to convince the legislature to raise taxes to pay to fix California's crumbling roads, which he forgot to put in the state budget. He forgot. The dog ate the road budget. CBS's Steve Large called Brown's Oakland press conference puzzling, noting that Brown had described his leadership as a brooding omnipresence. You try to say that word because I was thinking omnipotent. But it's you have to break it into 2 words. Brooding omnipresence. First of all, if you are an elected official, you do not want to call yourself brooding. But it is probably very apropos for Brown. Brown added, "I stand above the fray here." But State Senator Jim Beal of San Jose, who chairs the Transportation Housing Committee, replied, "If the governor comes down from the clouds and helps us, we can get things done quickly. He has to play a role in pulling people together, us weak, unfortunate earthlings." These are the people running your state. And it's like, hey, you said you had a $7 billion surplus, right? You remember that? Do you remember when that came out in the news?
Yeah, what happened to that?
Exactly.
Did he put it in Coinstar and got taxed or what?
There you go. Yeah, did he put it in Coinstar? He should have given it back to the people. If you're just going to waste it on social programs that are going to attract more people to come here that are on social programs and need help from the government, why didn't we take half of that and just build the damn dams, right? Then we'd have water storage, so when it does rain, when we get those torrential rains, you could fill one of those reservoirs up. You could raise the height of the Shasta Dam by 20 feet. There's a lot of things that you could do. You could also fix the crumbling infrastructure. That's the roads and bridges. Hello? You have tax-paying, hard-working, did I say working Californians who are driving on crumbling roads. Roads with potholes in the middle of them. Freeways that haven't been resurfaced in decades. I hate to tell you this, Jerry, but that is the duty of government. Giving free crap to illegals, that ain't your business. It's illegal and you shouldn't be doing it. take that budget and fix the roads and build the dams and stop borrowing money to do it when you claim you have a surplus. And then, when you've cut off all the free things to illegals, including college tuition and everything else, give us our damn money back. And then start in on the unions and start negotiating contracts that are reasonable. We don't mind paying people a decent wage, a fair wage, but we don't need to pay them a platinum-plated wage with a platinum-plated retirement and medical benefits. Morgan Brittany coming up right after the break. You are listening to the Radio Free California Network, and I am your host, former California State Assemblyman Tim Donnelly. Also, gubernatorial candidate. Did I say that right? I've been stumbling over words today.
That was correct.
Because I usually say gubernatorial just to make it clearer to those who might be considering voting for Jeb Bush or Hillary Clinton. Speaking of Hillary Clinton, we're going to bring our good friend, actress Morgan Brittany, on air. Morgan, welcome back to the show.
Hey, it's good to be with you. Sorry I'm not in the studio today.
No, we are too. We'll have to do that again another time. It was great seeing you the other night in Hollywood.
Yeah, it was fun. That was a great show.
Yeah, that was incredible music. It was so nice to just get out of the political fray for a few minutes.
I know.
And hang out, but not for long, because you have leapt in there and certainly put Hillary in the hot seat, which she's in trouble.
Yeah, you would think so, wouldn't you? But according to her and all of the people around her, they don't seem to think so. She just kind of shrugs it off and makes jokes about it and laughs about it, and like it's nothing.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, I don't either. Unless it's just the fact that the Clintons are so arrogant that they believe that they can get away with anything because they have gotten away with everything for the past, 25 years or so. I mean, I saw James Carville on some show the other night, and he was just going on and on and on about, I've been going through this for the past 25 years, and they never get nothing to stick to the Clintons. Well, there's got to be a reason for that, Tim, and I can't figure it out. But I'm telling you, I'm real worried that the Democrats are they're gonna end up keeping her.
Well, I mean, they can keep her. That's not really the issue, is it?
Well, I mean, if they want to do the right thing, they will listen to what the FBI has to say, and if there's an indictment that comes down, they'll do the right thing. They will look for another candidate. But honestly, who have they groomed to even be another candidate for this next election? Nobody.
I didn't know we were having an election. I thought we were having a coronation.
Yeah, there you go. They were so arrogant in that party that it was her turn. She was going to be the next president. There was no question about it. All of the donors lined up behind her. George Soros lined up behind her. All of these people donating to the Clinton Foundation. They've invested in this. So you tell me, how in the world can they bail? I mean, can the Democrat Party bail on her when it's been a given ever since 2009 that she's going to be the next president?
Well, and I mean, they have a bench. It's not as if there are no Democrats running. You've got Jim Webb, right? Come on.
Well,
he's a
Jim
rock star
Webb,
in his own right, isn't he?
to be fair, Jim Webb would be probably the best choice of the bunch, except nobody knows him.
Hey, wait a minute. I didn't say he would be the best. Now, wait a minute. We like Bernie Feel the Burn Sanders, the full-bore socialist. My dad called in. Did I tell you this? My dad called into the show, and it was like a Friday afternoon. We're just cruising toward, closing time, and he says, he starts giving me these theories, and I took it and ran with it a little bit, and he says, wait a minute. He says, you're stealing all my lines. And then he got back to his whole thing about Bernie, but he said the reason that he likes Bernie isn't because he's authentic, but because he is who he is.
Yeah. Well, there's truth to that, for sure. I mean, you see what you get with Bernie Sanders. He's absolutely unashamed to get out there and say that he's a socialist. No problem there.
Yeah, he wants to steal your money and redistribute it, and he's honest about it. And then
he's honest about it.
And most of the Democrats want to do that. They just want to lie to you about it. So
well, like the person in the White House now.
Exactly.
Yeah, well. Yeah, okay, so all right, we got Bernie Sanders, okay. He's not electable. We all know he's not electable.
Well, neither is Donald Trump, according to the experts. So wouldn't it be
Trump,
but wouldn't it be great to have a capitalist face off against a socialist?
Wouldn't that be awesome? I would love that.
Because then because we'd be debating economic systems. We'd say, look, do you want to fundamentally transform this country into a country where the government owns all the means of production, and the capital, and they dole it out as they see fit, which is a system of government that has failed in many other countries? Or do you want a system where you, the individual, get to control your own destiny? And you can start a business. We'll make it easier for you by getting the government out of the way, but we're not going to give you money. And we're not going to guarantee any results.
That's right. That's right. Boy, that sure would be interesting, wouldn't it? A Trump-Sanders matchup.
That would be epic.
I'd love to hear that debate.
Hey, we would cover it live.
I know.
You'd have to do blow by blow,
Hey, listen, I mean, look, we're what, 15 months out from the election? I'm just telling you, as much as this is a great show and as much as we're watching this and being entertained by it, it's going to all fall into place and go back to what it always is. There's too many...
Oh, you're bringing us down. You're bringing us down, Britt.
I know.
Morgan Brittany, come on.
I know, but I came to this, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, how great would it be to really have nominees that were just, really amazing, that you could actually see the differences between them. How great would that be? But I look at it and I'm thinking the elites in the Republican Party are waiting for Trump to crash and burn. He's probably going to end up being in for quite a while. I would assume he's going to be in for quite a while because he's got a lot of momentum. But you know what? Eventually, Trump may drop out. And he may become the kingmaker.
All right,
whoever.
Walk me through this scenario, because I gotta. Everybody says he may drop out. All right, so what would cause a man who has taken as much abuse as he has, and who is an authentic American? You and I have both heard him speak. There's something that comes through that is quintessential American, and something that's lacking right now in our public discourse. So he certainly brings a value to the table. He stands out head and shoulders over all these other whoever's. I can't even call them also-rans. They're not even running. They're walking.
Right. No, I agree with you.
So under what scenario, when, first of all, he doesn't have any donors to please, except for Jay-Z and Beyonce. And I don't think they're going to be upset if he gets a little bit out of line, because they're giving him money after that happened. So
yeah, I know. So what do you think will happen? All right, look, bear in mind, I'm going to tell you this right up front. I did horrible in math, but if you look at how many candidates are running, okay, you've got a spread of, 17 Republican candidates running?
We counted 57, but if you say 17,
yeah, probably, just like there's 57 states. Okay, so we've got at least 17 candidates running. Now, we all know that this is going to be, it's going to start fading. All these people they're going to either not be able to get the money, they're not going to be able to get the people out to see them. So the field is going to narrow. We know that. Eventually, within the next 6 months, you're going to see it narrow down to probably 4, which is probably going to be the 4, I would say, Trump and Bush will probably be in there. It'll either be Carson or Rubio and Cruz if there's 5.
Hey, wait a minute. I didn't hear Fiorina.
It's going to be tough for Carly. She's really good. I really like her, but it's going to be tough for her. It's an uphill climb. She could surprise us all. She really could, because she's really a brilliant speaker and she's very, very smart. But I'm just kind of looking at a scenario. Okay, so you've shaken out a lot of people, and all their votes, all their support has to go somewhere. So where is that support going to go? That's going to go into those top 5.
That is the question. We are talking with Morgan Brittany, actress from Dallas and many other places. We'll have more, and we'll take your questions when we come right back after this break. Whether you're an experienced shooter or just buying your first gun, Turner's Outdoorsman has everything you need, along with a knowledgeable and friendly staff to help you find that perfect gear for your next adventure. Turner's now has 18 locations across Southern California, including a Victorville location right on Bear Valley Road. Be sure to check out the new Archery Pro shops in the Victorville, Chino Hills, and Pasadena locations. If you're not sure what you're looking for, you can browse and shop their selection at Turners.com. Be sure to check out their weekly specials and sign up to get them delivered directly to your inbox. Turners is where I turn for all my firearms and ammo needs. Remember to tell them Tim Donnelly sent you, and you'll get an additional discount. We're talking with actress Morgan Brittany, also co-author of What Women Really Want, along with 2 other friends of mine, Anne Marie Morell of Politichicks and Dr. Gina Loudon, who has her own television show down in San Diego. And Morgan, by the way, if you want to call in and ask a question, 323-746-TALK is the number. Morgan, we were talking before the break about what the repercussions will be of Hillary dropping out. You've written a great article up at WorldNet Daily. It's at timdonnellyshow.com. Mm-hmm. And you're asking the question, the strategy to save Hillary's presidency. So are the Democrats going to stop? Do you think they'll stop their war on women against Hillary, which Monica Crowley of CNN is suggesting is being waged by the president himself, by Barack Obama?
Yeah, I read that column today, and that's a very interesting take. It'll be real interesting to see what happens over the next couple of weeks as to whether or not everybody drags their feet in government and says, well, we're going to get around to this, and we're going to, just like they have on all the other scandals. Why did Bill Clinton play golf with Obama? They don't like each other very much, but yet they were at Martha's Vineyard playing golf together. Something.
Well, Morgan, it depends on what the meaning of the word "like" is.
Exactly. But one more thing I wanted to talk about Trump. When I was talking about the field is going to narrow down to 5 or 4, and those votes are going to have to go somewhere. I'll tell you one thing. Trump does not want to be a loser.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. I agree.
No, he doesn't. And if he sees that votes from the other people are going to Cruz or Rubio or Carson and not flowing in big numbers to him, he may figure out a way to say, you know what, I'm going to let you guys do this or whatever. But the position he would be in would be he would have enough support behind him that his votes he could end up throwing to one of those other candidates. I've been kind of looking at he and Cruz together because they're having an awful lot of meetings and a lot of things going on, and Cruz hasn't said one bad thing about Trump.
No, he said a couple good things.
Yeah.
So you could be right. You're saying that maybe somewhere either Trump becomes a kingmaker, or Trump makes it in some world.
Exactly.
And maybe,
I mean, look, if all those candidates, the Kasichs and let's say Carly, let's say some of the other candidates, the Christies and Jindals, their votes have got to go somewhere. Their support's got to go to somebody. If all that support goes to Trump, he's got it made. He's got it made.
I think Carly.
Because not only does he resonate with so many of the disgruntled conservatives, but he's very open about the fact that he was once a Democrat and he's changed. And I got to tell you, I know a lot of former Democrats that have turned conservative, like David Horowitz was raised a communist. And they are more conservative than you and I. David Mamet, the famous writer in Hollywood, turned from a massive liberal, full-fledged liberal, into a huge conservative. And all he does all the time is spout conservative values and talk about it and write books about it. So it is possible that people who have been hardcore Democrats and even given money, look at Anne Marie Morrell. She was a hardcore Democrat.
Sure. But see, I think David Mamet and Anne Marie were liberals. There's a huge difference. A classic liberal is someone like JFK.
Yes.
And what we have now are Marxist progressives who are leftists, who want to seize power. They want a totalitarian state in which the government controls the people. And anyway, would you like to take a call from, let's see who we got here. Hang on a second.
Sure.
Hey, welcome to the show. You're on with Morgan Brittany.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little more about how small business owners will vote Democrat just for the health care issue, even if it is Hillary.
Oh, you think so?
Why would they do that? Small business owners, aren't they getting killed with Obamacare?
No, I'm talking about business owners that have 5 or less employees.
Okay. Well, it's very possible. Although when 2016 rolls around, you're going to see such an amazing difference in the way Obamacare is now and the way it's going to be. Things are going to skyrocket even more than they have already. So it's going to affect small business owners as well. It's going to affect everybody. They did this for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
They pushed off Obamacare so that it wasn't going to really kick in until 2016. So I would be very, if they see it coming, a lot of the small business owners, if they see anywhere near that it's coming at election time, I don't know. I don't know that they'd go Democrat.
Yeah, and I would agree with you, Morgan. The latest poll that was done just before the last election, Obamacare was tanking in California.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Its unfavorable ratings were over 46%, and only 28% of the state are actually admit to being Republican. I think that'll increase slightly, but not nearly what it should, because with all the issues going on, you'd think the Republican Party would be booming. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, well, there's something called an open border. That's what's the deal with that. There's a lot of voters that come across. Trump was talking about anchor babies last night or whatever, how you just come across
birthright citizenship.
Right, birthright citizenship. But if you're illegal and you come into this country and you have a baby, if you're illegal, the baby's illegal. It's not a citizen. If you look at the 14th Amendment, it doesn't say anything about illegals. So
yeah, no, it doesn't. It actually says that as long as you have an allegiance to this country, then or at least one of the parents. But in the case of someone who is illegally present, that's not the case. And and of course it's been interpreted that way because it works for those in power, so they can continue to entice.
And tell me if I'm wrong, but if they don't want to call them anchor babies, just call them future Democrat voters. Okay.
You can always count on Morgan Brittany to come up with something quotable.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I tell it like it is. I see it like it is.
Hey, are you tight on time? Can we keep you over?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, because I love talking to you. I don't get to talk to you enough, so might as well talk on air. And but yeah, I think I want to move on when we come back after the break and talk a little bit about what's going on here in California.
Yeah.
Which is, we have a segment we call Meanwhile in California.
Meanwhile.
As if you're going to Alice in Wonderland.
Down the rabbit hole, right?
Down the rabbit hole we go for this short break. We'll be right back with actress Morgan Brittany. Hey, if you like shooting as much as I do, you've probably been to a lot of ranges. Unless you visited Burro Canyon Shooting Park, you've never seen anything like it. On the way there, you'll find yourself taking pictures as you traverse the majestic Azusa Canyon and wind your way up into the Angeles National Forest. With over 600 acres, including 19 private ranges, there's something for everyone. There's rifle and pistol ranges for beginners, right up to advanced shooters. And there's plenty of spaces to shoot sporting clay. You can make a family day of it, or you can bring a group for team building exercises. Bring a picnic lunch. On the weekends, they provide lunch. And don't worry, they always have ammo in case you forget yours or run out. One thing I can guarantee is that once you visited my friends at Burro Canyon Shooting Park, you'll be hooked and you'll keep coming back. BurroCanyon.com is their website, or call them at 626-910-1344, 626-910-1344. Hey, you are listening to the Tim Donnelly Show. Maybe I should call it the Tim and Morgan Show, because Morgan, you're very popular. Everybody is calling in to talk to you. So we're going to go straight to the phones. And I believe we've got John from North Carolina. Is that you, John?
Yes, sir, it is. Good evening, Tim.
You're on with me and actress Morgan Brittany.
Morgan Brittany. Well, what a pleasure it is to talk to both of you, and how refreshing to hear that there's more than a handful of, there's at least one more conservative out there.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few of us.
I'm sure.
I'd say 80% are still in the closet, but we're out here.
I hear you. Well, you got to get them out of the closet. I actually wanted to name my oldest daughter Morgan Brittany.
Really?
And my wife, no, that's an actress's name. I said, I know, but I'd like to name Morgan because I want to name my first son Marshall. Well, I never had any boys. I have two daughters, but it ended up being Lauren Tiffany, so that's pretty close.
Oh, yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, but I actually wanted to name her Morgan Brittany. Of course,
the last
would follow up, but yeah. I guess my only question to you is how you doing, and it's nice to hear your voice on the radio.
No, I'm doing good. I got into the political fray a few years back and write a lot of columns. And like Tim was saying, I wrote a book with two other ladies that came out a few months ago. And it's crazy because, in Hollywood you take slings and arrows from the critics where they don't like you and they criticize you and all that. Man, in the political world, politics is just Hollywood for ugly people.
Yeah, yep. Excellent. It's even people like Ted Nugent and Kid Rock, and I can't think of a whole lot more of them. But like you said, they're out there, and they will shoot their arrows at you. And
oh yeah,
you stop and stand up for yourself and for everybody. And it's funny because I talked to Chuck Norris and I talked to John Voight and Gary Sinise and all of us, and we're all getting criticized and knocked around out here. But you know what? We got to speak up. I mean, that's the whole deal now. We've just got to speak up. Trump is doing it for us right now, but man, we got to follow up and do it. And Clint Eastwood's another one. I kept an empty chair in my front yard for a few months after the last election, or during the last election, I should say.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good man. I've known him for a lot of years.
Yep. All right. Well, y'all take care. I'm sure you have other callers. I'm enjoying the show. Tim, excellent as usual. Morgan, take care of yourself and keep up the good fight. I certainly appreciate it.
Will do.
Thanks for the call, John. And we'll bring someone else on. We got Joe from Hesperia. Joe, you're on with myself and Morgan Brittany.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Doing great.
Good. How are you?
I'm tired. Just got off work. Normal, everyday deal.
Well, you're working. You're working. That's a good thing.
Exactly. That's why I don't complain.
That's right.
So, but anyway, I just wanted to chime in on the Hillary Clinton campaign trail real quick. Basically, it seems like everybody in this country, particularly our younger generation, they're so brainwashed and manipulated by our own media that they just don't want to see past how fake and phony these people really are. And they don't understand with Clinton that this lady's lies go all the way back, to the Nixon administration.
Oh, yeah.
And this woman is one giant ball of headache and lies, and people in this country are so stupid that they'll just vote for her simply because she's a Democrat and they're a Democrat, and they won't look any further into the truth to realize how bad this person really is.
Yep, and you know something, Joe? That's what the Democrat leadership depends on. They depend on those voters just hitting that Democrat button. That's all they care about. They don't care whether they're backing a criminal as a candidate, a liar, a cheater. They don't care. Obviously, with Bill Clinton, they didn't care. So that's the problem, and it's just such a difference. It's a difference between the two parties. And I can't say that all the Republican side is any good because a lot of them are pretty nasty too. But
yeah, there's no argument here.
Yeah, but on the, I got to tell you, the people that go out and vote on the conservative side, they will vote for the right person. They'll vote for somebody that's ethical. They're not going to vote for some crook. Like, they're not going to pull the lever for, somebody like a Hillary Clinton. There's no way.
Yeah, I guess the point I want to make here is that for anybody out there that's listening, especially if you're on the Democrat ticket or even on the Republican, pay attention to who you're voting for. I mean, don't vote for somebody just simply because they're one party or the other. Look into this person's background. Look to what they've voted for. Look at what their trends have been. Look what impact they've had on their political careers. And look at everything they've done. It's like, and when you see this person that has not done anything good to benefit anybody other than their own crooked self, try voting for maybe an underdog or somebody that's coming from a different, area. Don't just vote for them simply because, you're just narrow-minded and don't want to do any homework.
Boy, that's the truth. Boy, that was very well said.
That was
people need to listen to you.
That was well said, Joe. And if they're listening to this show, they're not going to escape without getting a certain amount of truth. Because our goal is to inform, educate, and engage. And we're really glad that you did that. So thanks for your call.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Bye.
You know, it is kind of interesting, Morgan. We've had a number of callers, and we had this real phenomenon when we did a poll. We did a poll on Donald Trump. This is when the news media was just going crazy, like when the frenzy was in there, and everybody was just hating him. And we just asked people what they thought of him. And I think we had, three options. A was that he goes all the way. B was that he would end at the primary, so make it halfway. Or C, he's roadkill on the way to Iowa, because that's what the media was saying.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we had millennials calling in. And we had not only millennials, but we had a millennial who was an immigrant from Central America. So this is like the prized demographic that the political consultants would love to be able to motivate. And we had Hispanic people, we had black people, we had people from every walk of life, young and old. Women love him. So across the board, Donald Trump, and everyone said almost the same thing in a slightly different way. They love the fact that he stands his ground. They love the fact he's telling it how it is, and he can't be bought. Yep,
that is so true. That's true on all counts. And you know, you really look at it, and you look at Trump, and yes, he's a showman, and he's flashy, and he says things off the top of his head, but he's a truthful man. He doesn't use cue cards. He doesn't have rehearsed speeches. He'll do a town hall meeting, and he'll answer any question that's thrown at him. Look at that in stark comparison to Hillary Clinton, who is rehearsed. She is coached. She knows every single word, every single person that's going to ask her a question. She knows what it is beforehand. It's unbelievable the difference between these two when you look at them.
Well,
and the more I look at Hillary, I look at her and this whole parsing of words where she said one thing when she first came out about the emails and the server, and there was no classified information. Now there was nothing marked classified. And today it's, there was classified information on there, but, she didn't know about it.
See, where I come from, we call that a lie.
Yeah, exactly. And if people can't see that this is the person you want sitting in the White House making decisions, hiding her server or having the server in somebody's bathroom somewhere? Really?
Really?
I mean,
did they have to decontaminate it?
Exactly.
Wow.
But honestly, she had a concussion. She fell down, whatever. Okay, well, maybe that's why she's making the decisions she's made. But I don't want her running this country.
Well,
Forget it.
When President Ronald Reagan was first running for office, his first office was here in California, governor.
Yeah.
In 1966. And he had these political consultants who wanted to handle him, and they kept trying to handle him, and they boned him up on all these different issues, and so they had him up to speed. But they were really, really worried about what he would do if he was asked a question. And so finally they let him out in a real small venue, and not only did he took every question, knocked it out of the park, became a very different person when they asked him questions. And people loved him.
Yeah.
So finally he said, "Hey fellas, just put me out there. Don't script it. I can handle it." And he did. And he went all around the state, and he won people's support the old-fashioned way, which is reminiscent of what Donald Trump is doing today.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You can see it. He's obviously the man he's got something that the American people are absolutely identifying with. Something is pulling them in. They like it. And you know what just drives me crazy? I'll listen to the mainstream media. They cannot let one report go where they don't say, oh, the poll numbers came out, and you know who's got the worst negative ratings? Donald Trump.
The guy in the lead?
Donald Trump has the lowest the biggest negatives, highest, and it's like, what are you doing? Come on.
Well, of course he does.
As if Hillary doesn't?
Yeah, but see, it's name ID. They know who Donald Trump is, and they know what he believes. Nobody knows what Hillary really believes. Nobody knows what's on her email. Nobody knows much about her at all because she's very secretive.
Yep.
But
exactly. Will you explain something to me, please? Why is this woman not in jail? Why is she not? Did they not pick her up when they picked up that server and said, you know something? You endangered this country. You put this country in jeopardy by having. She didn't even have an authorized cell phone.
Hold on. We just had someone call in that can answer that question.
Oh, yay.
Morgan, look, the reason that she's not in prison is because of me and my connections. But I think I may have made a mistake. I think we're going to work on getting her into the big house because I need her. I thought she was going to go to the White House and leave me alone for a couple of years.
They must, listen, Tim, they must know where all the bodies are buried. That's all I can tell you.
I'm sure they do. But Morgan, I want to thank you for taking time to come in and talk with us. It's always a blast. You are not only a great actress and a great American and a true patriot, but you are a phenomenal writer. Your latest article on whether or not Hillary Clinton's I almost called it a pregnancy.
No, God forbid.
Presidency, the pantsuit presidency can be saved. Morgan, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Tim.
All right.
Good to talk to you.
You got it. Hey, we will be right back after these short messages. Hey, if you like shooting as much as I do, you've probably been to a lot of ranges. Unless you visited Burro Canyon Shooting Park, you've never seen anything like it. On the way there, you'll find yourself taking pictures as you traverse the majestic Azusa Canyon and wind your way up into the Angeles National Forest. With over 600 acres, including 19 private ranges, there's something for everyone. There's rifle and pistol ranges for beginners, right up to advanced shooters. And there's plenty of spaces to shoot sporting clay. You can make a family day of it, or you can bring a group for team building exercises. Bring a picnic lunch. On the weekends, they provide lunch. And don't worry, they always have ammo in case you forget yours or run out. One thing I can guarantee is that once you visited my friends at Burro Canyon Shooting Park, you'll be hooked and you'll keep coming back. BurroCanyon.com is their website, or call them at 626-910-1344, 626-910-1344. You've heard me talk about Burro Canyon Shooting Park on this show many times. They've been a proud sponsor of the Tim Donnelly Show. And I want to let you know they've got a special offer. If you pay for a day of shooting at Burro Canyon Shooting Park and you mention the Tim Donnelly Show, you get a free hat or a coffee cup or both, as long as supplies last. So head on up to my favorite place to exercise our Second Amendment right, Burro Canyon Shooting Park. So it looks like Caitlyn Jenner may face manslaughter charges.
What happened? It was an accident, right?
Evidently, I'm just going to read it. That way, I'll read it as it's written. Wow. It's weird. Just like in this photo on the CBS website in San Francisco, looks like Steven Tyler of Aerosmith. Now a country singer. So go figure. But it's Caitlyn Jenner. Sheriff's investigators plan to recommend prosecutors file a vehicular manslaughter charge against Caitlyn Jenner for her role in a fatal car crash on PCH in Malibu last February. LA County Sheriff's Department Nicole Nishida says investigators found that Jenner was driving unsafe for the prevailing road conditions because her SUV rear-ended a Lexus, pushing it into oncoming traffic. The Lexus driver, 69-year-old Kim Howe, was killed when her car was struck head-on by a Hummer. If convicted of such a charge, Jenner could face up to a year in county jail.
A year?
It seems really light sentence for causing someone's death. And I don't really care whether you're a man or a woman or whether you don't know whether you're a man or a woman.
Which jail do they go to, though?
You know, I was getting onto a rant, and then you interrupted with a good question.
Okay, let me ask the good question, then you can go on your rant. Because at the time, it was a man, but that now she's a woman. So which jail would they go to?
That is a very good question. We shall see.
Can we get some help from the audience?
Yeah, if you got a thought on that, 323-746-TALK. The other dust up in political news, Donald Trump used the word anchor baby, and people in the press freaked out. First of all, they don't like the word illegal when talking about illegals. Let me repeat that. They don't like to use the word illegal when talking about illegal aliens.
They're not allowed aliens, though.
They're not what?
They're not allowed aliens, though.
No, allowed aliens are called resident aliens. I know that's also the title of a movie. But a resident alien has a green card. And an illegal alien don't. It's not a complicated matter. It is a legal term. It is the accurate and correct term. Anchor baby is simply a shortcut of saying someone who benefited from birthright citizenship. And the way that Donald Trump is breaking through the noise is he's using politically incorrect language to describe things as they are. And that's it. And when you do that, people listen. And when you take a beating for saying saying it how it is, people will follow you. People will support you. People will go to the ends of the earth to help you get elected. And Donald Trump is the only one who is consistently staying in the lead. Can't believe we're out of time. This is, we got a 323-746-TALK. We'll take your calls coming up right after this break. Hey, if you like shooting as much as I do, you've probably been to a lot of ranges. Unless you visited Burro Canyon Shooting Park, you've never seen anything like it. On the way there, you'll find yourself taking pictures as you traverse the majestic Azusa Canyon and wind your way up into the Angeles National Forest. With over 600 acres, including 19 private ranges, there's something for everyone. There's rifle and pistol ranges for beginners, right up to advanced shooters. And there's plenty of spaces to shoot sporting clay. You can make a family day of it, or you can bring a group for team building exercises. Bring a picnic lunch. On the weekends, they provide lunch. And don't worry, they always have ammo in case you forget yours or run out. One thing I can guarantee is that once you visited my friends at Burro Canyon Shooting Park, you'll be hooked and you'll keep coming back. BurroCanyon.com is their website, or call them at 626-910-1344, 626-910-1344. Only in America in 2015 could the truth be so offensive to those whose job it is to report the truth. You know, the First Amendment created the power of the press. Did you know that? That's what it's for. It's one of the many myriad of rights protected by the First Amendment is the power of the press. Without a powerful press, a press that acts as a watchdog on the activities and individuals in government, you get the kind of endemic corruption that has sunk so many countries. You know, I just look at our neighbor to the south, the nation of Mexico. When you go back in time and you study their history, Mexico was extremely intolerant of illegals, by the way. Take the territory of Texas, which was under Mexican control. There were 300 families that were authorized to immigrate. They had papers, they had authorization, they were given land, they built businesses, and they settled Texas. And then people like my ancestor, Jim Bowie, the inventor of the Bowie knife, illegally crashed the party. Okay, yeah, I'm owning it. That's what he did. And Mexico got really, really ticked off when the illegal party crashers began an uprising, and they're pretty soon it spread. And so they rode into town with their army, and they said, we're going to disarm everyone. And the 300 families, the heads of the families had said, okay, we are going to comply. We willingly surrender our weapons. We'll meet you at this place at this time, and we will surrender all of our weapons. And they did. And then the Mexicans killed them all. And that's what began, not all of them, but killed the ones who had shown up, which were the leaders. That began this insurgency. And it was no longer about whether you had papers or whether you were legally there. It became a fight for land. It became a fight for justice. And in the end, the Mexicans lost, not because they weren't more powerful. They were way more powerful. But they were far too arrogant and corrupt. And Santa Anna surrendered the entire territory of Texas in exchange for his life. He was defeated on March 6th of 1836 in 18 minutes by General Sam Houston, who had identified a battleground. He looked and looked and looked and looked because he had an inferior fighting force. He was training them along the way. And he just kept waiting until he found the perfect battleground, and then he executed the perfect plan. And since that time, as a nation, Mexico's never been the same. They were a great nation. But corruption has hobbled them and crippled them, and they are now a crumbling narco state that bears no resemblance to its former greatness. And it's tragic, because when you live right next door to a failed state, then you get to clean up the problems. You become the relief valve for whatever pathologies are happening in that country. And it's just fascinating. I don't think you could have scripted having someone like Donald Trump in the presidential election in a year like this, who is gaining ground by speaking the simple truth. He's not dumbing it down, but he's also not complicating it. He doesn't sugarcoat it. And I don't know about you, but I believe he means what he says. And so when the reporter asked him about let me read you this little exchange. Trump was asked, you said that you have a big heart and that you're not mean-spirited. Are you aware that the term anchor baby, that's an offensive term? People find that hurtful. Trump's response, You mean it's not politically correct, and yet everybody uses it? He then suggested the reporter give him a different term to use. The reporter replied, the American-born children of undocumented immigrants.
Anchor baby.
Donald Trump said, I think I'll keep using the word anchor baby. Thank you very much. But see, I don't think the reporter went far enough. Look, it's not the American-born children of undocumented immigrants. That's not good enough. It's the American-born hope of undocumented heroes. I mean, come on. They're freedom fighters. They came across the border and all of a sudden they had all these rights and they got all this free stuff.
Yeah, they're using having babies to get more rights.
Oh, there are people who literally planned their birth to get across the border into San Diego, and the second they are, an ambulance will pick them up. All the health care is paid for by the residents of San Diego. Thank you very much. In Phoenix, it bankrupted one hospital when a child was born, and the people of that city, Phoenix, spent $2 million on a baby who ultimately the hospital said, we need to transfer this baby back to your home country of Mexico, and this baby doesn't have much of a chance to live. But they sued, and they forced the hospital to spend $2 million it didn't have, and in the end, the baby died in the hospital in the ambulance on the way out of the hospital going back to Mexico. So you spent all this money on a life where there was no hope, sued and forced the taxpayers to foot the bill. And the question is, what's the right thing to do there? Should we have to pay for anyone's baby, no matter how minimal the chance of survival is, no matter how that they have zero right to be here, that they have contributed nothing into the tax base? These people were not from Arizona. They were from some province in Mexico. They lived their whole lives in some province in Mexico, but they got the Phoenix taxpayers to bankrupt their hospital, which now affects the medical care of millions of Americans. And so you have to ask yourself, at any point, are you allowed to simply say no? Are you allowed to say enough? And Donald Trump is giving people permission to say, you know what, we've been generous, we've been compassionate, but there's a limit. And we don't want you to come here, drop a baby, and then next thing you know, we have a whole new tranche of people coming into this country through chain migration who can barely afford to pay for their basic necessities. So they're going to wind up on government assistance. And that goes back to the simple thought that you cannot have an open border next to a third world country and operate a welfare state and a nanny state and unlimited giveaways and entitlement and expect that to be sustainable. 323-746-TALK. Love to hear your thoughts. Defending the fundamental freedom of parents to make informed decisions for their own children is a basic human right that should never be infringed. But it was. California's SB 277 denies children access to education and takes away a parent's right to choose. You don't have to be a parent to help, but only you can make a difference. Let's exercise the people's veto and overturn SB 277. To volunteer or donate, go to SB277referendum.com. SB277referendum.com. That's SB277referendum.com. Do it now. Paid for by SB277 Referendum Committee, FPPC ID number 1378398. I said we would take your calls here at the Radio Free California Network studios, and of course, we will do that. Well, we were going to do that. There was a caller on. Looks like we lost him. But his question was about the 14th Amendment, and if he wants to call back and ask the question on air, we will take it. But look, there's a lot of confusion about the 14th Amendment. And the bottom line is that the 14th Amendment was never meant to allow people to just come in, give birth, and have citizenship. It was meant to cover conditions in which case you had individuals of whom were at least one parent was an American citizen, which is what happens in other countries. So that, or that individuals were under, rather than use the word citizen, let me correct that, that you were under or subject to the jurisdiction thereof. You cannot be subject to the jurisdiction thereof and be illegally present in the country. Does that make sense? Because in order to be subject to the jurisdiction thereof, that means you are subject to the laws of the land. You must, of necessity, have some legal status, meaning you are a legal immigrant, or you are someone who has standing. Of course, it was written to make certain that the children of slaves were not disenfranchised, which of course, the Democrat Party, using Jim Crow laws in the South, was trying to treat black Americans as if they were not Americans, as if they were not even human. So that's the genesis of this, not in order to give people who came into the country illegally, boom, all the benefits of an American citizen. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Getting rid of some goat heads out in the backyard. I'm
all
up
right.
here in Hesperia. The dogs walk on when they hate them. Anyway, yeah, that 14th Amendment, I was always taught in school that it was for the slaves that were here. Once they got freed, they needed to have some place of origin. And now, have I got it wrong, or
no? No, I just went over it while you were out. What were you? Did you say you were shooting in the backyard? Is that what you were doing?
Oh, I'm digging up goat heads. You know, those plants that crawl on the ground. They get these nasty, prickly things that the dogs walk on, and they get stuck in their paws.
All right. So, see, I had you out there hunting and shooting things, and you were weeding.
Yeah, weeding.
It sounded so much better the first time. Look,
yeah.
But yeah, while you were out there digging those up, I went over the fact that, look, and it came from the Democrats, the Jim Crow laws. They were trying to make it so that slaves, no matter what they could do, any right they were given, they wanted to take it away. They wanted to treat them as if they were not fully human. And they certainly didn't want to give them the ability to be on equal footing with Americans. That's what the 14th Amendment, the Equal Protection Clause, was put in there for. It has been abused. Yeah, go ahead.
They shouldn't call this thing anchor babies. They should call it Titanic babies. I mean, what they do is they come over. I used to live down by San Diego there, and they come across. They pop their babies out. Next thing you know, within a year, at the very most, sometimes year and a half, they got another one in the oven. You know, I mean, I see it all the time up here. I mean, people. Well, I know a lot of Hispanics too that are out here in my area, and I think the Republican Party's got it wrong. They don't want the illegals coming across the border either.
Right.
I mean,
well, yeah, no, Americans. If you're an American, doesn't matter if you're Hispanic or what you are.
Absolutely.
If you're an American, then you want the sovereignty protected of the nation that is your home. You want the rule of law protected and upheld, not undermined by government policies. But people have become so politically fearful that political correctness has paralyzed those who should be speaking for us. That's why a guy like Donald Trump, he's a little bit like John Wayne. You ever watch a John Wayne movie, right? And he's never politically correct. He just says it like it is. He doesn't care who likes him. He kind of walks around. He's big and bulky, and he's carrying his gun. That's Donald Trump, and that's America. And that's the hope for us is, and look, it's not just about this illegal invasion of our country. It's also about our fiscal policy. It's about the control that the government has over every aspect of our lives, and we need someone that will start the process of kicking the government out of areas they don't belong in. It'd be really great if we did that here in California, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, don't hold your breath.
I know, but then they could fix the damn roads and build the damn dams and stop invading your home, stop trying to figure out how many bullets or how many guns you have. It ain't none of their damn business anyway. Or,
building a bullet train to nowhere that we desperately need,
I had to leave something for you.
Yeah. No, we should have been building reservoirs when this thing kicked in, the drought and everything, and yeah. But, no, it's good talking to you, Tim. Keep up the good work, buddy.
Hey, thanks for listening, and thanks for calling.
Hey, hold on. You got a second?
Yeah, go for it. You got about 1 minute.
Okay. I saw a show on the History Channel the other day that will totally change your mind about global warming. It's called...
well, this is going to be good. I'm going to... Hold on. Write this down. I'm telling the Noskinator to write this down because I doubt it, but you're welcome to try.
It'll change your whole life about that and history and everything. It's a 2-hour documentary. It's from the History Channel, so you know it's legit. And... you have one of your, if you don't have the time, have one of your people do it. And I guarantee you they'll be in touch with you and say, you got to watch this. Guarantee it. Changed my life. I couldn't sleep that night.
Well, what's the title?
That's how profound it is. Just take my word for it. Hang in there. I'll call you back next week and we'll see if you had a chance to look at it.
Well, you didn't give us the title of it.
The Devil's Graveyards.
Devil's Graveyard.
It's about the Bermuda Triangle and all that stuff, but they go into it a little bit deeper. You'll see. It'll open your eyes.
Well, thank you for listening. Thanks for the call. And I doubt that anything will change my mind on global warming. I believe it's a man-made hoax. I've always believed that. I believe that the government and its agents have manipulated the data in order to seize control. And the reason I believe that is because that's the only evidence that anyone has been able to provide that is actually provable. The rest of it are theories, and they're defended by people who call themselves scientists, but who are really religious zealots, and their religion is kneeling before the altar of climate change. And I just ain't one of their parishioners. I'm atheist when it comes to global warming. I'm not agnostic because I don't believe it exists. 323-746-TALK. We'll be right back. Whether you're an experienced shooter or just buying your first gun, Turner's Outdoorsman has everything you need, along with a knowledgeable and friendly staff to help you find that perfect gear for your next adventure. Turner's now has 18 locations across Southern California, including a Victorville location right on Bear Valley Road. Be sure to check out the new Archery Pro shops in the Victorville, Chino Hills, and Pasadena locations. If you're not sure what you're looking for, you can browse and shop their selection at turners.com. Be sure to check out their weekly specials and sign up to get them delivered directly to your inbox. Turner's is where I turn for all my firearms and ammo needs. Remember to tell them Tim Donnelly sent you, and you'll get an additional discount. Hey, you are listening to the Tim Donnelly Show. 323-746-TALK is our number if you want to get in on the conversation. I was talking to the Noskinator on the break, and I can't even believe the story you're telling me, that there's chicks fighting the ISIS soldiers, and they're so good at it that they put one of them up and put a picture up claiming she was dead, and she's not. She's still killing ISIS fighters.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's pretty interesting because this group of women fighters is their biggest fear, because if ISIS is killed by one of these women fighters, they think that they don't go to, they don't reach heaven. So, basically, the Kurdish militia, there's 123 women that are trained. They have vests on. They have weapons. I mean, they look super legit, and they're not messing around.
You sound like you want to go join them.
I mean, a 500-strong force based out of, I can't even say this word, Sulaymaniyah in Kurdistan, northern Iraq. Yeah, Suleiman.
Okay.
In Kurdistan, northern Iraq, is led by Colonel Nahida Ahmad Rashid. She's 49 years old.
And see, the Obama administration doesn't want to arm the Kurds, but it is the Kurds who are consistently fighting ISIS. And, you know, good foreign policy is when you look out there and you say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That means you don't have to put well, let me just qualify my statement. You wouldn't have to put U.S. troops on the ground if you were squeamish about it, and we know Obama is. And I'm not saying that putting our men and women at risk is a good idea in every situation. I think that needs to be fought out and fleshed out and analyzed and discussed and debated by our representatives. By your representatives. So, but when you have somebody who is fighting the fight you believe should be fought, then you give them arms and materiel so that they can be successful. You give them intel. You back them up. Maybe even you even bring in some Hellfire missiles and some air support. You provide what they don't have in order to defeat evil. But that doesn't mean you need to move heaven and earth and move your entire armed forces in there. And I think that's a very important distinction, because a lot of listeners to this show would rather that we never went to war. Well, I think all of us wish we would never have to go to war. I think it should be as rare as possible. And if we're going to go, we should go in with a plan to annihilate the enemy and then come home. Finish the job and then come home, not leave them there with no mission, with rules of engagement that are getting our men and women killed for no reason. I'm starting to sound like Mike from Wrightwood. You got anything else on these fighter chicks?
Yeah, so a couple things. They are admired because they promote equality in a region that has long struggled with women's rights, obviously. One of the soldier women, she's 23, she said, "We fight like men and we die like men." And when they're trained, obviously because ISIS believes that women... let me go back to the exact quote. ISIS obviously believes women are only objects to be enslaved, raped, and terrorized. So these women, they have to leave a bullet in their gun. This is how they're trained. They leave a bullet in their gun in case they are captured to shoot them. They're pretty much to commit suicide so that they're not tortured and raped. And,
wow.
And kept, yeah.
Now, that's a serious commitment.
Huge commitment.
Wow.
So the one, she's the poster child of this 500, strong militia. Apparently, she killed 100 jihadists in the battle of Kobane on the Turkey-Syrian border. So that's why ISIS is going against her, and they put her picture up, apparently holding her head, acting like she was killed, but she's not. She's very much alive.
Wow. I mean,
isn't that amazing?
Yeah, if every American had that level of commitment to our freedom.
And there's another group that now, I'm just completely blown away by this because not once have we heard about any of this in the media. They're not going to put that out.
But the minute they do, then they have to tell you about women's rights in Islamic countries. They don't exist. And they don't want to have that discussion. Because then that discussion forces them to break their politically correct code, change the narrative, and then it would embarrass the Democrat Party and Barack Obama. Well, it certainly is encouraging. I realize it's a story from the other side of the world. There was a story out of Los Angeles yesterday, completely shifting gears and continents. We've been tracking very closely the issue of SB 277. Los Angeles School District pulled kids out of class who had missed a single booster shot, threw them in the gym, 100 of them, and then sent them home.
The law's not even into effect yet.
Doesn't matter. They don't care.
That's not allowed.
They haven't done their paperwork. The school district has not done its paperwork. The parents had filed what's called a personal belief exemption, which are still allowed right now. So if your kid is going to any public school or any private school or any charter school or any daycare, and you have filed a personal belief exemption, SB 277 is not in effect yet, not until July 1st of 2016. But see, when a school decides it wants to do whatever the hell it wants, it does whatever the hell it wants.
But don't you think there are incentives for enforcing this already? I mean, there has to be something, right? Schools aren't just going to go out of their way to do this.
No, I don't think there's incentives. This is a power trip that people are on. Because if you think about it, if you send kids home, you get paid by the federal government for their butts and seats. You got kids sitting in the classroom, you get reimbursed by the federal government. Those kids aren't there, you don't get paid. It's called something like ADA, daily allowance. But whatever, it's a federal subsidy for education. And we try to teach our kids to respect the law. And then they look at the government, and the government says, hey, if you came into the country illegally, do whatever the hell you want. Don't worry about it. We give incentives for people to come here illegally. We give them all kinds of benefits. We let them come to our schools. Whatever you want. Just carte blanche, red carpet, break the law. Now, if you're a drug dealer in L.A., the cops will crack your head open if you're the wrong color. And basically, so they're real serious about that, enforcing that law. If your kid is not vaccinated, missed a single booster shot, yanks the kid out of the school by their ear, throw them out, send them home, deny them education. So they're real serious about that, except they're wrong. Wouldn't it be nice if they enforced our immigration laws the way they want to force these vaccination laws? And this vaccination law, by the way, just in case you're just tuning in, they're enforcing a law that is not yet in effect. So there was a huge protest and a lot of very angry parents who came to the school to pick up their kids. And I don't blame them. And so if that's you, if you're a parent out there right now who has a child with a personal belief exemption and somebody's trying to tell you or send you home a letter that your child is not welcome in the school unless they're fully, absolutely 100% caught up on every one of their vaccinations, not true. If you have a personal belief exemption, you're covered. The problem is the schools can't even keep up with their own paperwork, and it was their fault. 323-746-TALK. We will be right back after this break. Defending the fundamental freedom of parents to make informed decisions for their own children is a basic human right that should never be infringed. But it was. California's SB 277 denies children access to education and takes away a parent's right to choose. You don't have to be a parent to help, but only you can make a difference. Let's exercise the people's veto and overturn SB 277. To volunteer or donate, go to SB277referendum.com. That's SB277referendum.com. Do it now. Paid for by SB 277 Referendum Committee, FPPC ID number 1378398. Hey, this is the Tim Donnelly Show, and it's our final segment, and we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to go straight to the phones. We've got Lisa calling about SB 277. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you, Tim. My experience was I got a phone call from my son's school the second day of school, and they said he can't come back until I get his shot. And I said, well, I signed the form. And they said, well, there's a new form. You know, you need to come get this taken care of with your doctor. And I said, okay, let me come see the form. And it was the exact same form. It wasn't a new form. And I had to underline where it said not. You do not have to have your physician sign.
Once you got your physician to sign it once, because that was AB 2109, correct?
Well, you don't even have to have your physician sign it. You can say this is a religious belief. They don't even have the that they gave me didn't have a part for personal belief. It was only religious belief. So I had to check mark that box so I don't have to have a doctor sign it. And then she's like, well, it's going to be law anyways. I said, gonna be? I said, it might not be. You know? So she had to call the district nurse and had a very long conversation. Anyways, they finally accepted my paperwork, and then she goes to let me know that if my son develops whooping cough, he's going to get starved immediately. He won't get his 10-day grace period. I'll get in trouble. I'll get fined, and he won't get instruction. I said, you won't put him on independent study if he gets whooping cough? She said, no. I'm like, how is that fair? How is that legal? If my son got AIDS or something like that, you bet they'd bend over backwards to put him in the classroom. But if whooping cough and stays at home or in the hospital, they won't let him have instruction.
Well, and the crazy thing about whooping cough is it's usually spread 70% of the time by people who are vaccinated for it.
Right. Yeah, I know.
What district are you in?
It's Mesa Linda Middle School, Adelanto Elementary School District.
Well,
the high desert.
Yeah. I'm glad that you called because, look, here's the thing. This goes right back to the theme that I always talk about. I'm like a broken record here. It's the rule of law. If it ain't the law yet, then you don't have to abide by it, right? I mean, isn't that the whole point? What is the point of making a new law if it goes into effect before it goes into effect.
Right, and you can't enforce things that aren't law.
Well, yeah, that's
a power trip.
That's a
It was total
personal
power
and
trip.
intimate form of tyranny, because it is an abuse of the power that you were given and lent by the people. Lisa, so you set him straight, and now your child, is it your son or daughter?
My son. Yeah,
Your son.
He's
So
in school. He attends every day. Yeah.
Great. I'm glad that it had a good outcome. But thanks for taking the time to share that with us.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim. We'll talk to you later.
You got it. And it looks like we have a repeat caller that wants to talk about global warming. Dare we even touch the talk button here and bring up the controversial issue? John from North Carolina, what say you?
Oh, first of all, I promise I will not call again this week.
That's all right. We love talking to you.
They just did a study at University of Alabama, Birmingham, and they presented them with the real, true facts. And some of these millennials and some of these college kids, they're starting to pick it up. They're starting to realize what's really going on. And they know they're being snowed, and the outcome is that they're not going to take it anymore. So,
well,
it's not climate change. It's weather. That's just the way it happens.
Well, here's where I have real issues, and the media is so inaccurate on this issue because they cover the pseudoscience, which has never been substantiated by factual documentation. They ginned up, and the guy admitted it. He admitted it in emails. The guy who made that hockey stick graph
there's been liars out there too.
But he made it up out of whole cloth. He just freaking made it up. Then they have this narrative to defend, and the narrative creates a lot of government jobs. It creates a lot of jobs in foundations and all these things to study and analyze and try to control you. But once again, it's all about control. And the problem is that the data points didn't support the narrative. That means they went and looked at all of the temperature readings around the world over this period of time and found out the globe had actually cooled. So then they asked every one of the individuals who was reporting the data to change the data. They gave them some complex formula to explain it all, but basically they said, we want you to lie. And a lot of them did, but somebody blew the whistle, and now we know that they have inflated the data, which people often do this to justify their government job existence. And that's it.
Here's some cash for your...
well, it's not just cash. I mean, John,
keep on going on.
They in California, they justify the cap and trade program. So now, if you have a business that produces too much energy, they come in, put a gun to your head, and they say, stick them up and give us the cash. Give us your capital. Now, what could that capital be used for? That capital could be used to create jobs.
Fuel there.
It could be used to expand the economy. It could be used to expand your business so that you make more money and are more successful and more solid. But in the end, you're handing it over to the government so that they can put it into the high-speed rail that nobody wants, that we can't afford. We're going to leverage our kids. We're stealing people's land to do it, and nobody's going to ride this damn thing because we drive cars out here in California.
Yep. Just like everywhere else.
Yep. And well, John, we're unfortunately we're out of time, but thank you.
I promise I won't call back anymore this week. I'll check you out next week.
You got to get some more North Carolinians to be listening. We want to hear from some more people with that great accent.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Well, actually, it's a Western Pennsylvania accent, so I catch heck everywhere I go. So.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Keep up the good work.
You got it. You got it. Unfortunately, we are out of time, and I do not do this show by myself. I want to thank my wife for letting me, Bethany Nosko the Noskinator, for being an extraordinary producer, Cassie Cassidy, our intrepid guest booker, Sean McNeil, the magic man when it comes to everything technological, all of our sponsors, and you, because without you, we don't have an audience. 3 to 6 p.m., Radio Free California Network. God bless you and Godspeed. Tim Donnelly Show out.